welcome to this video. Thanks for tuning in and sharing in this now moment with myself and with one another. If you haven't seen these videos before, welcome back if you have. My intention is unity and oneness and the highest levels of love light. I just want to roll right into a little flow. Energy updates are really quick. There's a lot that's been going on. I'm still unpacking it. My friends and I will discuss. When we think we've unpacked it, there's more. But wait, there's more. I haven't even had time to sit down. Well, let me rephrase that. I haven't made the time to actually process. And that's important to recognize. I always say when I'm working with someone, my common theme or my piece of advice, if that's what you want to call it or label it as such, is to acknowledge, recognize, and we could then turn that into reorganize, adapt, integrate, right? Process, and then create from there. That's just kind of my theme that I've set up in my own reality that I'm always sharing with you guys. And yes, I do help people do that. We all have our own way of working with others to assist them and to assist ourselves on this journey. But it starts with us. So I have to be reminded quite frequently that I have to do the work also, which includes acknowledging, recognizing, integrating, and all of that. So for me, I've been having so many things so fast. The information, the light, the sounds, the memories, all of it has been coming in so fast that it's not something that I'm not necessarily haven't sat down with it and processed it yet because it's still coming in. But I do sit down every day. I had a friend ask me, how often do you meditate? And I think I did this, talked about this in another video, but I do it in the form of many different things. So I wake up and I'll at least generally do a video, or I will record my thoughts or write them down pretty much every day. And while some people may say, well, I don't have time for that, or that's a lot, that's a choice that we all make, and there's no wrong or right choice. There's just different choices. So all the information that's coming in for me is more information about what I'm doing in my healing work, more information about my friendships and why we're friends, more information about people in my lives and why I've known them, and more information about how this reality works, more information about how this reality no longer works. So much that for me to linearize it all and sit down with it isn't something that I've really taken the time to unpack. And there is an aspect of me that would love to sit down and just get really linear with it all, label it all. And yet there's an aspect of me that already understands it all and doesn't need to unpack it. It's just a matter of opening and allowing. And that's one of the other big downloads or piece of information, right, that's been coming in. I don't know if I shared today, but there's supposed to be some solar activity. There's been a lot of solar activity. If you guys have felt that, I think I said that. I don't remember. I started doing one video and then I had to pause and regroup. And so what happens is oftentimes we'll have all of these ahas and then we forget them. And it doesn't need necessarily to be unpacked and processed in a linear way. Yet it does, from another perspective, need to be acknowledged in order to, let me rephrase that. It doesn't need to be acknowledged in order to be received, because we're receiving it all of the time. It's being, as long as we're open, or open to receiving, and we then remember. But oftentimes I get asked, how come I'm not having downloads, or why am I not having synchronicities? And I assure people time and time again that you are. It's just a matter of acknowledging them. And so I'll give examples, and I'll work with someone based on my intuitive capabilities, we could call it, based on my intuition, and assist them in figuring out what those synchronicities are, where they might be, what they might be missing. But we can just do that by paying attention also. Doesn't require working with a healer or an intuitive to help guide you on what to look for. Although it is helpful, it is not necessary. For some of us, it's just fun to do that. But I'm being guided to share this because a lot of people are stumbling a little bit right now because they feel a little lost. Family, friends, loved ones, clients, whatever. And the message that keeps coming through is get back to the center. Get back to ourselves. Get back to the basics. Go within. And if we're never going within to stop and ask questions such as, what is it that I'm seeing, feeling, hearing, then we're not acknowledging the day-to-day gifts that are flowing in. And so that's something maybe I'll do a separate video on, break that down a little bit. And so I'll just flow from here. And there is no set way from one perspective. There is no one way in order to feel the wave, in order to move and ride the wave, in order to recognize that which we are waving into our reality, weaving into our reality, saying hello to. Acknowledgement is key. For as we allow ourselves to open the locks, we must first look at the lock. We must recognize that it is there. We must feel into it as we turn the key and open, allowing all that is held within to move through our awareness. For the more we become aware of that which is hidden within, the more we become aware of that which is within, the more we move through into a deeper view, a deeper expression, a deeper sense of well-being, a deeper wellspring, springing up from within, bringing us the truth of who it is that we seek to uncover, that is already within. We allow ourselves to breathe into being, that which is within our very being. Bek oshta kenewa titina. We breathe into this deeper sense. We breathe up from. We move through that which has been deep within, deeply embedded in our cellular structure. We move through and allow this cellular expansiveness, opening, to heighten our sense of security, stability, accessibility, acceptability, mobility. So really quickly, I'm just seeing, if I were to go back and type this up, I'm seeing all these different angles, these different views on essentially people that are stuck. They can't move. They are not able to see past the problems that are at hand, or the seeming, I'm hearing the seeming blockages, right? So as we let ourselves move into this new awareness, this new spatial awareness, we become, I'm hearing immobilized. This is the play on words. It's like we move out of, it's like we're staying still, we're immobile in order to mobilize. And I'm hearing innately mobilized. We tune back into the innate. We tune back into this other version of us that we have been averting, that we have been averted from, is essentially what I'm seeing. We've had an aversion to, diversion. I'm hearing diversion tactics. We then move into a deeper response ability. I always talk about this, the ability to respond, to what is going on within, a deeper receptibility, the ability to receive and be receptive to what it is that we are receiving. And as we allow ourselves to open these receptors, if you will, we come into a place of acceptance. We come into a place of stability. We come into a place of security. For we are no longer rocked by the outside influctuations that are occurring visibly. For we see beneath. We see what is going on behind the scenes. We see scenes I'm seeing are a reference to scenes from a play, different chapters in a book, scenes from a movie. I'm hearing we then take the scenic route. A lot of what's been coming up is stop and smell the roses, right? We take the scenic route and we then process things in a different way. We're then able to, I don't know what is going on with my camera right now, but we then pull up stakes. We pull up the roots. We are no longer rooted in instability, fear. For that which we fear becomes clear. And I'm hearing, what's the song? I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Right? So this has to do with sight, inner wisdom. We move out of this fight or flight response and we move into this higher state of unification, heightened state, higher state of unification. We move through division. We move through this, I'm hearing pitter-patternization. So one of the messages that I've been unpacking is patterns, pattern recognition. We begin to recognize the deeper patterns. We begin to come into a deeper pattern recognition. We recognize, and I'm going back to acknowledge, recognize, integrate. We begin to recognize the many layers of recognition. We begin to see. We use all of our senses, all of our heightened senses, sensibility, increase in sensibility, moving out of insensitiveness, incentivized, televised, insensitivity that is incentivized by being televised. And we move into this resilience, this ability to stabilize our frequency as a conductor. We then conduct this brand new orchestration, seeing in panorama view, pranayama. So I'm just seeing this reference of all of this coming together. Yoga is to yoke, to bring into oneness. Pranayam, breath work, right? Practice. We're then practicing in essence. What I'm seeing is we're practicing stability, centeredness. We come back into the center. We come back into focal point awareness, a deeper center, a deeper sense of awareness, we become aware of our deeper senses. That have been there all along. That have been there the whole time, one might say. Yet often we recognize that this has been timed. I'm keep hearing this reference to a time-released capsule. A makunat ishte kunat inikewa. It has been timed this way so that we could see the way. We could see that there was another way. Pause. Okay, I'm just going to park here for a moment. My car was such a mess. Oh, my office. To show us the way so that we could see another way, so that we could recognize that there were more patterns to recognize, that we could see beyond the pattern differentiation, if you will, that we could differentiate between these patterns and begin to recognize a deeper subset held within the structure of the human academy, the human brain, the human body, the human anatomy. And as we recognize that these different subsets are all available within our fingertips, at our fingertips, available within, we begin to deepen into a deeper trajectory. We begin to see past the conflicting stories, if you will, that have been, that we have been sequestered into. We begin to see beyond the stories that have sequestered us into a fixed point of view. We begin then to fix our own, I'm seeing become our own solution, and I'm seeing fix things, find a solution. We begin to find our focal point, our new focal point, and we focus on this new trajectory from a deeper presence. So really quick, when we're present, we're making a choice, we are then creating as an observer is what I'm hearing, rather than emotionally charged. So we can use our emotions, and I'm just going to go back into flow. We can use our emotions to detoxify. We can use our emotions to detoxify a situation, or we can use it to create and add to the toxicity that the situation may hold for us when we are viewing it from a lesser variation. We are often unaware that we are creating from a patternization, a pattern that was learned and is no longer necessary in order to grow, in order to create the stability that we are seeking. For many, we're creating from an unstable source of confusion, a dwelling place, a home base that was not truly home. They were creating from a base set of frequency patterns that were honing in on them. And I could go into so many layers here. We are now recognizing that we no longer need to homogenize, create from this homogenized experience. We are being invited to recognize that our stability is uniquely based on our own adaptability and ability to recognize the grace that is held within our higher capacity to see beyond that which it was that we were adapting to. For we have moved into a higher rate of adaptability. All right, so I could play with all of these words, and I have a few more minutes, so I'm going to end on this note. I'm hearing unpack the codes. So, in a nutshell, I could do this for the next hour. Our rate of adaptability has expanded, so we adapt faster. We've moved into a whole other realm. Those that are stuck in the old ways don't see that. There are many of us, though, are seeing it. We're seeing it with all of our senses. It isn't just our eyes, our ears, our nose, our skin, and our sensory. I keep being shown a shark, and I keep being shown sonar. My friends, Candace and Jess and Kat, when we talk and get together about this, we have a lot of the same synchronicities. So, sonar. All right, I'm hearing sonic boom. So essentially we've boomed, and this is a whole other, you guys, I'm getting ready to work with the client. I gotta bring it back into center. Because we can get pulled, you guys, when we're going through these upgrades and we have to be normal. What I do, I don't have to be normal, but the old version of normal. But when we get pulled into these different realms, it's very challenging sometimes for us to keep it together. But that's essentially what we're doing. We're creating a spin, and Dan Winter talks about it, where it's the ice skater that creates that perfect spin. It's centripetal force and just gets so fast. It's just this perfect angle. And it is the angle, you guys, angles, angels. It's what we are patterning. So are we patterning and creating our reality, our play from habits? Or are we creating these new patterns? Are we recognizing that there's new patterns to create from, to create in, to help us to interlace and get out of the distortion, right? Because there is a lot of distortion that's still floating around in the airwaves, one could say, so to speak. But it's not, we've boomed. If you think of a sonic boom, if you look at a plane and it creates this bubble, because it's faster than, I don't know if it's the speed of sound or whatever it is, that's what we've done. We've moved out of that other realm. And so we don't even realize we're gone. We don't even necessarily realize that we're there. Because a lot of us are still kind of holding on to those old patterns, right? Those old systems. And so the more we can go within and find our new us, acknowledge that it's there and stabilize those frequencies, the easier it will be to move out of instability and to destabilize the patterns that have been holding us in a holding pattern, that have been holding us in place, because that's not the way it is anymore. That's not the way. That's been an ongoing theme of mine as well. That's my guides have been saying. It's not the way. Granted, there is one, but we are all unique individual beings, all creating different patterns within this, and we're in the process of reorganizing, and we are getting out of scattered, and we're taking we're scattered. I'm hearing also we're scattered across the world. We're scattered across the earth, but we're also reorganizing as a collective, and that's a whole other video. So the more we can take this, use our ability to focus It might be for 5 minutes, you guys. Focus on the heart. It's always about the heart. The more we can then create, because we're creating a lot faster now, we're moving a lot faster, but we have to be still to reorganize and break out of the old habitual patterns of doubt, fear, insecurity, all those things. All right, guys, I'm going to end on that note. In love and light. Thanks for tuning in. Namaste.